So I wanted to share one more of the probably the most craziest um, experience I had with doing this with meditation. The stories I mentioned before, the smaller ones. The probably after a few of those smaller dreams where I was having correlations between my sleeping and then my what my family was doing downstairs. Um, I I was I had learned about astral projection actually through a show on Nova about the planets, and um, Giordano Bruno, I believe was the name, was a guy that claimed that he in his dreams was seeing that there were multiple galaxies and stuff. And this was like, I think, back in the 1500s, and he was burnt at the stake. And Neil Tyson deGrasse, I think, is the scientist that I was watching, and he mentioned that story. And then he said, lucky guess. And that caught me when I heard that. And mind you, I'm atheist during this time, and I had left Christianity and had been an atheist for like 3, 4 years. And all this stuff was off limits as a Christian, and all of it was nonsense to me as an atheist. And I had basically come to the conclusion that any of this spiritual stuff, whatever, didn't exist. And so I'm sitting there watching this show, and it piqued my interest. I started looking into that, like when he said lucky guess. I started looking into this guy, and he had all these crazy math equations too back then. This Giordano Bruno. And so anyway, I started looking into astral projection and trying to do it because I thought, wow, that would be a cool experience if you could do it. And maybe it's just like this cool mind trick where, and at the time I was saying earlier videos that I was really stressed out. I had just started ICU as a nurse, and I was just constantly stressed out, and I was looking for things, meditation, hobbies, things to do to just for self care. And anyway, so I started trying to do this astral projection by meditating and trying to stay awake in my when my body fell asleep. It's a weird, it's like lucid dreaming, basically, is what I thought. So when I finally did, there was a guy that I knew as an acquaintance back in 2010, and this dream was 2018. So there was a guy I knew back in 2010 who had gotten really bad into drugs. He had been an acquaintance like when I was 9 years old. He was the older brother of a good friend of mine, and so we always looked up to him, thought he was a really cool guy. And then later on in life, he got into drugs and stuff. So fast forward to 2010, I'm back in this area, living in this area. I had moved away for several years, and I hear that he got into drugs. And then I see this in the paper where he had disappeared out in the woods by his family's home. And they didn't find his body until 2013. Well, when I heard about it in 2010, I was stressing out. I really wanted to go and look for him. And I remember I had several days where I just felt like this just deep sadness about the situation, and family not knowing what happened to him. It had been like a domestic dispute, and before the police got there, he took off out into the woods. And so, anyways, yeah, 2013, they found his body. And then fast forward to 2018, I'm having this dream, and I'm trying to go to do what Giordano Bruno, and see the stars, and all of a sudden, this guy's mom walks up to me in my dream, and she's crying, and she says, "I miss my son." And as she says that, I hear him start talking. I can see him out of the corner of my eye, and he says, "Tell my mom I love her, and I'm sorry, but I didn't know what to do." And when he said that, I started really shaking in my dream, and I could feel that I was about to wake up. And when I was shaking, this other voice said, "Don't be afraid." And when the voice said, "Don't be afraid," I stopped shaking. And then all of a sudden I was in the home of that family, the way I remembered it back when I was 9. And I can see that he was standing in the shadows, and I kept saying in my head, don't let me see you. Don't let me see you. I'll wake up. I'm too scared. Don't let me see you. And this other voice said that it was okay, that I didn't need to see him. But then he said it again to me. Tell my mom I love her and I'm sorry, but I didn't know what to do. He says that to me. And next thing I know, I'm grabbing the doorknob and I'm walking out the door. And this guy in a white gown with a white turban on is smiling at me. And he walks up to me and he opens this gate. And he said, if you pass through this gate, you'll meet every ascended being. You'll meet Jesus, you'll meet Buddha, and he named off a whole bunch of other people I've never heard of. And in my dream journal, I had been journaling because they said it was good for you, like to help with depression and some cognitive stuff that's deep in your subconscious, writing it down, helping you. And so it's so weird, all the details that led up to this, because I was writing my dreams down. And so I wrote in my journal that this guy's enthusiasm freaked me out when he opened the gate and stuff, and I felt like he was tricking me. In a weird way, I felt like he was tricking me, and so I said no. And then when I said no, all of a sudden I appeared at the river where I live, and I'm standing on the sand, and I was like, oh my gosh, I did it. And I was looking at my hand, I was in full control of my dream, and I said, I want to fly. And I just lifted up and started flying. I could feel the breeze. I could smell I could smell the water, the smells around the water, you know what I mean. And then I looked over and I saw a Carl's Jr. And I thought, that's weird. I don't have a Carl's Jr. in Longview. Anyway, that got built later that year. A Carl's Jr. got built in Longview. And anyway, so I end up saying, I want to go to my dad's house. I want to go to my dad's. I could feel myself starting to wake up, and I was saying, I want to go to my dad's. Because I wanted to go to his house and find like an object or something, and then call him the next day and ask him if it was there, because I wanted to verify. I wanted to do a little research about what I was doing. And so I was like, I want to go to my dad's. I want to go to my dad's. And all of a sudden, all these ambulances just keep pulling in front of me and stopping me. And it was really weird. And there was some other things that happened that I don't think are really pertinent, but yeah, and I ended up waking up. So now, my work week was starting up, and my mom had been was ending, and my mom had been calling me for 3 days since I had that dream. And I had told her I was trying to do this to help with depression and stuff. And I finally call her back on the third day, and I tell her, hey mom, sorry I couldn't get back to you. I've been tired and just waking up and getting ready for work. And so I told her, hey, I finally controlled a dream, and I didn't really think much of the guy coming to me, you know. It didn't really dawn on me that it was that significant until I was talking to her, and I said, I had a dream about, I told her the whole dream, and she goes, you should tell his mom. And I go, yeah, no. I go, the last thing this lady needs is some crazy guy calling up and giving her false hope. And I was like, I'm not. I said, if circumstances align, I said, I'll do something. I'll take it as something true. But I was like, no, I was more focused on the fact that I controlled my dream. But anyway, so fast forward now a little bit, and my mom said she knew where the gal worked. And so I said, well, I'll give you my number, and if you call her, I'll talk to her. But I said, I was like, a thought popped in my head, the date he disappeared. So I looked up the date he disappeared, and I saw it was August. My dream was August 24th. It was like August 12th that he disappeared. And so I'm looking at that date, not thinking anything of it. And then my mom said, well, what's his birthday? I was like, I'm not sure. So I started looking on like his I started looking on his Facebook and trying to see if I could find his birthday. Eventually I did, and it was the day my mom was telling me that I needed to tell his mom the message that I got. It was right on his birthday. And so that one, I said, I got to go. And that's when I said, here's my number. She can call me if she wants. But I said, I got to go. I got to get ready for work. And my mom was like, this is really disturbing you, isn't it? Because she knew I'd been an atheist for a few years now. And I said, yeah, I just need to think about this. I got to go. I was like, I don't really know what to think. And that within 5 minutes, that guy's mom called me, and I hadn't seen or talked to that lady in over 10 years. And so, yeah, that was my most shocking experience that still perplexes me today. I think about it a lot. Anyway, take care.